Good afternoon, everybody. So we started this third model with the definition of measurement. What is measurement and what has to measure, who is to be measured, we discussed. And later, what is scaling, how the scaling is developed and how it can be used. Then we discussed about the fundamentals scaling techniques or basic scaling techniques used in the questionnaire. Those were nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale and ratio scale. We also discussed about the characteristics of these scaling techniques with some examples. Then we moved towards criteria for good measurement. So what is called as good measurement? So if a measurement passes these three criteria, reliability, validity and sensitivity, then we can call it as a good measurement. Then we stopped at categorical scale.
ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕೇಳ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
A categorical variable, sometimes called a nominal variable, is one of that has two or more categories, but there is no instinct order to the categories. The scale which is having options with different categories are called as category scales. The options doesn't possess any instinct values and there is no instinct ordering to the categories. For example, gender is a categorical variable having two categories. One is male and another is female and also transgender, and there is no instinct ordering to the categories. It means if we take the example for categorical scale as a gender, when we use the scale in the questionnaire, we write gender and we give the categories or options as male, female, transgender. Fine. So we write first male, second female, third transgender. It doesn't mean males are superior, that's what first option, female are inferior, that's what second option, and transgenders don't have value, that's what they are third option. Not like that. There are no instinct ordering to the categories. Simply we write the categories. And another example is hair color is also a categorical variable having a number of categories. So in foreign context, while collecting the personal details, they use this categorical scale for hair color. They use the categories like blonde, brown, brunette, red, etc. If their hair colors are blonde or brown or brunette or maybe red or maybe black, they have to choose. And again, there is no agreed way to order these from highest to lowest. And again, there is no hard rule that blonde color must first come, brown second, brunette third, red fourth, and black fifth. Not like that. They are not highest or lowest or nothing like that. There is no instinct ordering in it. A purely categorical variable is one that simply allows you to assign categories, but you cannot clearly order the variables. So in categorical scale, we purely allow the categorical variables for assigning some categories. That's it. And we are not clearly ordering anything to those variables. Hope you got it. Fine. Then we will go for Likert scale. Likert scale is widely used scaling technique. Most of the researchers, most of the academicians, while drafting the questionnaire to measure the attitude of the respondents or psychological aspects of the respondents, they use Likert scales. The Likert scale requires the respondents to indicate a degree of agreement or disagreement with each of series of statements about the stimulus objects. So as I told you, this scale is used to measure the perception, attitude or the psychological aspects of the respondents. So the psychological aspects cannot be quantified That's what we are relying upon, the scaling techniques. So this scaling technique, Likert scaling technique, is also known as 5 rating scaling technique or 5 points scaling technique, where we draw a continuum scale to measure the respondent's agreement or disagreement with the statement. Fine. We'll take some examples to understand Likert scale. First example is Big Bazaar sells high quality merchandise. So this is the statement I make in front of respondent and ask them to what extent they agree with this statement. Are they fully agree with this statement or fully disagree with the statement? So for this, we are giving instructions to the respondents as: if they tick 1, then it means strongly disagree. If they tick 2, they disagree. If they tick 3, then neither agree nor disagree. If they tick 4, then they agree with the statement. If they tick 5, they strongly agree with the statement. For example, if a respondent tick at 2 means Big Bazaar sells high quality merchandise, he disagree with this statement, and his opinion is Big Bazaar doesn't sells high quality merchandise. Another respondent may tick 5, so that means Big Bazaar sells high quality merchandise. He strongly agree this statement. Got it? And second example, Big Bazaar has a poor in-store service. One respondent may tick at 2 and says he disagree with the statement that Big Bazaar hasn't poor in-store service. Means Big Bazaar has rich in-store service according to him. And some respondents may tick 5, that is strongly agree. It means they strongly agree that Big Bazaar has a poor in-store service. It's their opinion. Fine. And the third example is I like to shop at Big Bazaar. So we ask the respondent to respond for this question whether they like to shop at Big Bazaar. Some of them may tick, any one of them may tick 3. It means they neither agree nor disagree with the statement. They are neutral. They may like to shop at Big Bazaar or they may not like to shop at Big Bazaar. Some of them may tick 1, strongly disagree, that they dislike to shop at Big Bazaar. So when you want to quantify the respondents' behavior, then you can go for this Likert scale instead of asking some multiple choice questions and other questions which cannot be used to measure the respondents' psychological aspects. In those situations, you can use Likert scale, a 5-point scaling technique, which will help you in measuring the respondents' psychological aspects. Then the next scaling technique is semantic differential scale. The semantic differential scale is a 7-point rating scale with endpoints associated with bipolar labels that have semantic meaning. Semantic differential scale means if you split this word, semantic means opposite, differential scale. So one continuum scale will be drawn and that continuum scale's ends are labeled with opposite words. Using this scaling technique, measuring how respondents will respond to this scaling technique. We'll take one example. Here, one example for semantic differential scale is available. We start as Big Bazaar is powerful at one end and at another end weak. In between there are 5 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. 7 points we are giving them. If they tick this right side, if they tick, then they say Big Bazaar is weak. If they tick this side, then they say Big Bazaar is powerful. And second example is Big Bazaar is unreliable. They tick here near to reliable, so they feel Big Bazaar is reliable. If they tick here, then Big Bazaar is unreliable. And the third example is Big Bazaar is modern or old fashioned. So if they tick here, they feel that Big Bazaar is old fashioned. If they tick somewhere here, Big Bazaar is modern. If they tick center, then Big Bazaar is neither modern nor old fashioned. So to design this scaling technique, you should have two opposite words with a continuum scale between these two ends, 7 rating scales, and you can draft this scaling technique for getting the information from the respondents. How do they pursue? What is their attitude? It doesn't mean you should use powerful, weak, unreliable, reliable, modern, and old fashioned, only these words. You can use any semantic or opposite words to measure the respondents' behavior. Fine. So this is about semantic differential scale. Then we have a staple scale. This is a unique scale and a different scale. If you compare it with semantic differential scale and Likert scaling technique, the staple scale is drawn vertically, whereas the previous semantic and Likert scaling techniques are drawn horizontally. Fine. Let's go. What is this staple scale? The staple scale is a unipolar rating scale with 10 categories numbered from -5 to +5 without a neutral point. This scale is usually presented vertically. So here also, if you find it is similar to semantic differential, but it is drawn vertically and we have a positive and negative numbers so that respondents can easily judge the question and respond correctly. Big Bazaar sells high quality merchandise. So high quality we write in middle, and above that +1, +2, +3, +4 and +5, and below that we write -2, -1, -2, -3, -4 and -5. It means they have a clear picture in front of them. If they feel Big Bazaar sells high quality, they will tick +5. If they feel Big Bazaar doesn't sell high quality products, they may tick -5. And another example, Big Bazaar has poor service. If they tick positive side, means they are agreeing with the statement Big Bazaar sells poor service. If they tick negative, then it means they are not agree with the statement that Big Bazaar sells poor service. In their view, Big Bazaar has rich service. So this is about staple scaling technique. Next, we'll go to graphical rating scaling technique, where this scaling technique are used to measure the respondents. How do they perceive the objects? Fine, let's go. Respondents rate the objects by placing a mark at the appropriate position on a line that runs from one extreme of the criterion variable to other. The form of the continuous scale may vary considerably. So these are the three versions before you. You can check it that how graphical rating scaling technique is drafted. The first version, let's see, how would you rate Big Bazaar as a department store? And you label it as probably the worst one side and probably the best at the other side. In between, you need to have 10 points and dots or dashes. And second version is probably the worst, probably the best, and 0 for probably the best, 100 for probably the best. Let them tick. Version 3, you can label the end as probably the worst, and after 30 points, you label it as very bad, and in between, you write as neither good nor bad, and at 70, you write very good, and at 100 you write very good. So these three versions can be used, depends upon the literacy level of your respondents. If your respondents are highly qualified, then you can use the first version so that they can easily understand. If your respondents are moderately literate, then you can use the second version. If your respondents are less literate, then you can go for version 3 so that it is self describing scaling technique. Fine. Then we'll go for numerical scales. Numerical scales have equal intervals that separate the numeric scale points. The numerical scales are often 5-point scales, but may have to 7 or 10 points. So you have a flexibility here. Either you can use 5-point scales or 7-point or 10-point. The participants write a number from the scale next to each item. If numerous questions about a product performance were included in the example, the scale would provide both an absolute measure of importance and relative measure of the various items rated. If you are checking the respondents' response towards the product characteristics or service characteristics, then this kind of a scaling technique is advised. For example, please indicate how important or unimportant each service characteristic is. So you wanted to know how consumer pursue each service characteristic as an important one or as unimportant one. Here in the column, we write characteristics. The first characteristic as fast, reliable repair, service at my location, maintenance by manufacturer, knowledgeable technical staff, notification of upgrades, service contract warranty. And in front of it, in the rows, you wrote 7 as important, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1 as unimportant. Let them choose any number and tick here. If it is unimportant, they will tick here. If it is important, they will tick here. Likewise, they will go on responding for all these characteristics, and you can assess the respondents' perception towards the service characteristics and how do they pursue each characteristics as important or unimportant or moderately important, moderately unimportant. This you can get from the respondents. So this is all about scaling techniques, and this completes your third module.